Hello, this is Pete. We'll go ahead and start up where we left off. Sorry, it's been a little while since I did the last video, but we'll go ahead and finish this series up. So you have a completed snake game when we're done. So let me just go ahead and start where we left off. Just go ahead and run this. And what we have is just a snake in the middle of the field. We defined the borders. And we've also put logic in so when it hits the wall that we go ahead and get a message. All right, so that's where we are to start with. So let's go ahead and look at our list of next things to accomplish. First, we're going to put a apple on the board. So what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and keep this slowing the game down, and the read, we'll do that at the very end. So let's go ahead and placing the apple on the board. One of the first things that we're going to need to do though is to find a couple extra variables. Later we're going to redefine that game speed, so we'll go ahead and put this above that. But this is going to be an int, apple x dimension. For right now it's going to equal 10, and int apple y dimension, and also put that at 10 just to start off with. We also need to, let's go ahead and back up, going to define a random variable. So random equals new random. All right, so now we got a random variable, so we can randomly place this apple in the field. All right, so let's go ahead and define a helper method to set the apple on the table, apple on the board. Set apple position on screen, and we're going to need random number, the random number. We're also going to get out our apple x dimension and get out our apple y dimension. Great. So now let's do the helper method to make that happen. Come down here. Sweet. And this will be apple x dimension is going to equal random dot next. And the field is 0 to 70, but I don't want the apple to show up on the wall, so we're going to give it a small offset. And then apple y dimension is going to equal random dot next. And again, oh, that's not, let me fix this real fast. That's not an equals, that's a minus. And this random 0 to 40 is my field, but plus 2 minus 2 plus. There we go. That will define the field of play, or define where in the field we're going to set the apple. There we go. Now once we do that, we need to paint the apple. So let's do a helper method, paint apple, and we're going to pass in our x dimension and our y dimension for the apples. Okay, let's go ahead and generate that. And for this, we want console, set cursor position, apple x, apple y. We also want console dot, we need foreground color equals console color dot, we're going to make the apple red. Seems appropriate. Whoops. Seems appropriate to make them red. And finally, we need to actually write it. Console write char and 64. Cool. All right. So that will actually paint it. Let's go ahead and upgrade graphics. One of the things that I noticed is that the head of the snake does not look very good. So instead of char 2, I'm going to make them char 214. Oops, let me see where else I may have used char 214. And that should be great. Let's see what it looks like now. All right, so got a little snake with eyes. And right now our apples are just flying all over the place. So let's see if we can fix that. Got lots and lots of apples being created. And that's because every pass it goes through and it creates it. So what we're going to want to do is we need to place the apple on the board, but we only want to update the apple when the apple is eaten. So what we're going to do is create a new bool. Bool is apple eaten. And for right now, false. Awesome. So what we want to do here is place them on the board random. We're going to go if is apple eaten. Let's go ahead and Control X. All right, put that in there now. This will only happen. What we want to do though is do need to start the game off with painting the apple. So right after we get the snake to appear on the screen, we're also going to set apple. There we go. Okay, so now let's look down here. So we have placed the apple on the board. All right, now we need to detect when the apple is eaten. So we're going to do that immediately here. Tell you what, let's just do it in order. So if the apple has been eaten, that's when it'd be appropriate to test if we need to move it. All right, so let's do it this way. First, let's go and define another. Oh, we don't need, we haven't, is apple eaten. So I think we're good. Oh, we do need a counter. Let's give ourselves a counter. Int, and this is going to be my counters, apples eaten. And to start this off with, there will have been 0 apples eaten. This we're going to use a helper method. And what I want to do is update is apples eaten based upon the helper method. So let's go is apple eaten equal determine if apple was eaten. And I'm going to need an X position. I'm also going to need a Y position. I'm going to need the apple X and apple Y. Okay. Let's go ahead and build that. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, I need to start putting these in order of when we're actually calling them. Set apple on the screen and paint the apple. These definitely are called in reverse order. All right, and Control X. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it down here. This determine if apple was eaten. X. Putting that down here too. Okay, so determine if the apple was eaten. What I want to do is I want to see if the snake's head is the same X and Y coordinate as the apple. So we will just do a simple if X position equals apple X and y position equals apple y. So if that's true, then we know, and I don't actually need this, I'm just going to do it all in one line. So return true, else return false. It'll be one of those two. Okay, so from that, determine whether apple was eaten. So we're going to, is apple eaten? Yes or no. Based upon that, it will reposition the apple. Great. And if eaten, so we're going to set the apple, we're going to paint the apple. What we also want to do is we want to increment the apples eaten. We want to increase the game speed. .925 m, and this will be equals times equals. All right, now it's kind of a problem because game speed's an int, so let's go fix that. I want it to be a decimal. Now that means some other things are going to happen, like when we slowed the game down, it's looking for an integer, so we need to convert dot to int. Okay, everyone should be happy now. So now let's see what we got when we play. All right, so initial screen, we have an apple. We've got our little snake, and he goes around. Oh, sorry. Well, if I could actually eat him. There we go. The apple moves. Snake might be getting faster. Yeah, he's definitely getting faster, but he's definitely not getting longer. So I think that's going to be our last thing to do. All right. So make snake faster. We've done that. We did that right here. We've also kept track of how many apples were being eaten. We did that right here. Okay, so now we need to make the snake longer. This is going to be a more involved process because now all of these places where we've identified the snake, we've done it just as a single point. Now we're going to have to make that into an array. That's what we'll do. We're going to int array x position. We'll use that 35 here in a second. Going to equal new int, and we're just going to say 50. Assume that no rockstar snake god plays the game and gets more than 50 before they die. All right, so then x position, let's give me some space. X position of 0 is going to equal 35. All right, let's do that same thing. Equals new int 50 and y position 0 equals 20. Great. So we still have the same initial spot. Now we're going to have to go through and set what we mean. So in this first one, all we're doing is setting initial positions. So it's going to be 0 and 0. Okay. And tell you what, we are going to use this a lot. I'm just going to grab it. We'll come back and get those here in a second. This is going to actually change more because this is about this is painting the snake. And here in a second, that's going to turn into head, body. So we'll leave that for right now. Did it hit the wall? That is all about the head. Is apple eaten? That is all about the head. Okay. I think that is good. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Now, what we're going to do is that. And I need to do that on each of these positions. Okay. So now that we've made an array, we've identified what part of the snake we're talking about, and everything but this. Now this is going to, let's paint the snake. Snake. Okay, we're going to use a helper method to do this. So we want to paint snake, and I need int. I want the apple. I want apples eaten. I want x. I want x position. I want to send in the x position. I want to send in y position. I also want to get out x position and out y position. And that should be it. All right, let's go ahead and create this bad boy. Here we are. Did snake hit the wall? Now we're going to paint the snake. So as far as things come, this is actually going to be one of the very first calls that we make. So I'm okay leaving it right here. So apples eaten, x position. I'm going to go ahead and call that in, and out. All right. So now what we want to do, there's a couple things we got to do. We got to paint the head. I have to paint the body. Got to erase last part of snake. Record location of each body part. We got to return the new array. All right. There we go. What is it? Oh, because I haven't. The reason it's screaming at me is because I haven't defined what the outs are yet. So let's just go ahead and do that. At the very end of the day, it's going to be x position out is going to be x position in, and y position out is going to equal y position in. All right, now let's go back up there. Let's just go ahead and steal this. That's something we actually don't want there, and it's going to be the basis for what we're about ready to do. Okay, so now set console position for in and 0. Y position in and 0, because that's the head. We want that, and it did get updated when we did the select statement. So we have a new 0. Okay, now for painting the body, I'm going to do a 4, and this is going to be I equals 1. So I equals 1, and I want to do this while it is less than apples eaten plus 1. Okay, and we're going to do a slight modification of this, so we'll just grab that. And now what I want is I, and I, yellow is just fine. I'm going to change this, so we just want a lowercase o. Okay. And now to erase, I'm going to use a very similar thing. Instead of an O, we're going to have an empty space. I don't need to define a color because I'm just putting a blank line. And this is going to be apples eaten plus 1. Apples eaten. Okay. And let's see. That's... Ooh, the only thing left is go ahead and update what where each body part is in the whole process. So what we're going to do here, and do another for loop. This is going to be 4, and we're going to go backwards this time. So this is going to be apples eaten plus 1, and length we want I less than, do this as long as I is not 0, and we want a decrement instead of increment, and this is going to be x position in of I is going to equal x position in I minus 1. Y position of I is going to equal y position in I minus 1. Okay. Boom, and we got, now one of the things I want to point out, we're not getting another apple, so I will fix that. See this little cursor? Let's go ahead and fix that cursor, and I'll also figure out exactly why the apple's not showing up. Okay, so first thing to do to fix that cursor, let's go up here and let's just turn that cursor off. Console dot cursor visible equals false. Okay, now why did is apple eaten? X positions. So recognize that that was true because it tried to move it and it did make us longer. Paint apple. So evidently we did not get a new paint apple. Paint snake. I think that's determine paint apple. Well, that's paint apple. Okay. One of the things I want to do is at the very top, we do define the snake. So I want to paint the snake. Paint snake. Okay. Oops. Paint snake. And I need apples eaten, comma, X position, comma, Y position, comma, out, X position, comma, out, Y position. Boom. Okay. Wonder if let's see. Set apple position and paint apple. Okay. So detect, is it eaten? Don't see right away why it would not have painted it again. Let's try this again. And then I will go into debug mode and walk through it. Okay. So, could have just been a glitch right now. It's painting our apples. It's giving us longer body. We are going faster. I'm not very good at this. There we go, and then I'm going to die. Awesome. So there we go. So that went ahead and finished us out. Oh, for make the snake longer. So there's two parts that really did go into making the snake longer. One is how many keeping track of the number of apples. But then the real part that implemented the snake getting longer is up here at the paint the snake. So this is where we made him longer. Okay, so for the next part of this, we will, so this is the end of 2. Next one, we'll build a welcome screen. We're going to give player options or directions. We'll show the score at the end, and we'll give give the player option to replay the game. Thank you. Goodbye.